Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim and I should stop smiling here because we have a sad topic in this episode, the collection of Archieluxury stolen by burglars whilst he was abroad in the United States. And I'd like to take the opportunity to share my experience, my knowledge regarding safety with you in this video to prevent that you one day find yourself in the situation Paul is right now. And I will speak about low-profile homeowners insurance, safe bank deposit, and what Paul did and the solution for this problem here. Let's begin with low profile. I know a collector here in town, and he looks just poor. Just poor. He looks just not like a bum would be unfair to say, but very, very poor. And I met him once in a street cafe. And he brought watches to show me, and he stored or brought them in a plastic bag, these watches. So this is a real low profile, but of course it's not really handy for most of us. But low profile is important when it comes to social media, for example. What do you do when you find your own address connected to your name on social media? I mean, it's an obvious problem if people can connect you to watches through social media and then they can Google your address, then you have sort of a problem. And in fact, I think 2 years ago, Paul reached out to me because he found his address under one of my videos in the comments section. And he asked me to remove that address, which I did, of course, but you could Google it after that elsewhere. So big problem. What can you do? Of course, first thing you should do, you should Google your name if you're somewhat exposed on social media. You should Google your name together with your address, right? Then you can find out, is there a problem or not? And then you should reach out to the owner of the web page with a removal request. But what do you do when the owner of the web page, he or she, refuses to delete your address? What then? Or you cannot reach anybody. Then you can file a Google request, a Google removal request, so that Google deletes that piece of information. And it's very easy to file that request. All you have to do is to Google removal request, Google removal request, and then you will find a form and Google guides you through the process, and at the end, hopefully your address is deleted. They say they can delete it. They don't have to delete it. But you can also check the laws in your region, in your country. In most countries they have a law against this exposure of personal data. And part of low profile is also that you don't tell people that you are abroad, that you spend your vacation for 3 weeks in another country, for example, because then people have all the time they want. But I see that this is not really realistic in modern times because you want to stay connected with your friends and family through social media. So this is not really realistic. And this brings us to our next point. This is homeowners insurance. Very important. A homeowner insurance is or can be incredibly cheap. Can cost you $8 a month, $8 a month. But you need to read the terms and conditions exactly because sometimes they exclude certain goods or they have limits. For example, they include watches and jewelry. Yes, fine, great. But up to, let's say, 30,000 euros, for example. This is only an example. But you find very often, especially in case of affordable homeowners insurance, you find these limits and exclusions. And so a proper insurance should cost a bit more and should have crystal clear limits or no limits in the terms and conditions, okay? This is very important. Next point here is you have to decide if it's only for your home or let's say for your office or your business. Maybe you have a little business in your home. What then? Are the goods from your business included or not? For example, in Paul's case, the insurance company could say now, well, these were your private watches, but they were stored in your business room, in your studio, so we are not the right person to speak about that matter. You need a business security or a business insurance for that. And so then, yeah, huge problem. And so big recommendation, if you cannot keep your profile 100% low, you should really consider to buy yourself a nice homeowner's insurance, and then you have to read the terms and conditions. Okay, next topic. This is a heavy one. Safes, useful or not. You find many debates online if they are useful or not, if a criminal can open every safe or not, if it depends on the quality of the safe. And I read the police reports they send to the little newspaper I work for, local news. And it doesn't depend on the safe. I've made this experience. It depends on your place. Imagine a person living in a small apartment in a large building surrounded by neighbors. The neighbors know him well. They know that he's or she's abroad. And they would be very suspicious to hear some noise from that apartment. Under that circumstance, a burglar is nervous and has only limited time, let's say a couple of minutes. So he or she goes through this apartment very, very quickly, scans all the obvious places for jewelry and watches. And when the burglar then sees a safe and he realizes there's no way to open this safe in, let's say, 20 minutes and without noise, without light, then probably this safe will be enough to protect your property. This is not legal advice. This is what I've read from these police reports. And now the opposite scenario, somebody lives in a big single house without visible neighbors, maybe protected by a large fence, so everything is invisible inside, and maybe the safe is in a room without windows, so that nobody can see light or some action behind that window. And the burglar knows that the family or the guy living in that house is abroad, right? So perfect storm. They can do whatever they want in that house. And this is exactly the situation when people open commercial type safes. Absolutely. They may need their 4 to 5 hours, but they may use hard equipment for that, but they will do it. Maybe they're not even nervous because they know nobody can disturb me here. I have my time. And in fact, in Paul's case, the police stated that they needed 4 to 5 hours to open that safe. And so in that scenario, single house, nobody there, people feel relaxed breaking in, then they really open that thing. It will not help you when you have their Fort Knox in your place. And now let's speak 1 minute about Paul, or 2 minutes. What he did is perfection in the negative way. Unfortunately, standalone house protected by a fence, so but nobody could see inside, nobody could see what's going on the property. The safe was in the room without a window, as far as I know, and they knew that he's abroad in the United States. So they had their time to break in, and again, the police officer stated 4 to 5 hours. They worked in there, and nobody noticed a thing. So this is really shit. And as far as I understood, Paul doesn't have a proper insurance. The insurance covers 15,000 Australian dollars, I think he mentioned, and the damage is 200,000 Australian dollars. So this is pretty bad. And I wonder why he didn't use his deposit box at the bank, because I think he owns one. I own one, and this is the end of this, or the last tip here, and I think the best tip I can give you: rent a bank deposit box. It's very simple. It's available in every city, I think, in most countries. It doesn't break the bank. Oh, poor joke here. Mine costs, for example, I think 100 euros a year, so it's a bit more expensive, but I use it for watches and other investment things, for documents, for other stuff the family finds very valuable. Some of these items are not really valuable in money, but they are not replaceable, for example. And it's so easy. You use your bank card to enter the building, and there is your box, and it's highly protected. There is an insurance on it, and so I think this is the perfect way to go. Okay, and that's it for this video. That's all I'd like to share with you. If you have corrections, if you have additions, and if you want to mention other things, then please put them here in the comment section. And now, as always, let me thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.